Hello, everyone. Welcome from across this miraculous planet. We are one mountain, many paths, where our mission is what Dr. Marc Gafni and Barbara Marx Hubbard call the planetary awakening in love through a unique self-symphony. Together, we declare that the last day of the old pace of evolution is honored as the first day of the new face of creation. I'm Christina Tahal, the co-executive producer, along with Krista Josepha, and we are so delighted to be here today with each and every one of you. We welcome you to week 237 of our live broadcast. Use the Zoom or the Facebook chat function to say hi, to let us know where you're from, and to resonate the Dharma. On Zoom, check that your chat settings say all panelists and attendees and not just all panelists, so everyone can read what you have to say. In one mountain, many paths, we are connected, we are whole, and we're expressions of the entire process of creation. We are activating a new humanity and we are awakening as a new species, Homo Amor, the fulfillment of Homo sapiens. We weave together the knowledge and wisdom from religion, spirituality, and science to articulate a global ethos for a global civilization. Welcome home, everyone. We are strengthening an evolutionary we space. Like yesterday, 50 of us met on Zoom and danced together for the evolution of love. Our next dance party is Saturday, May 22nd. Do join us each month in this practice of outrageous love. Like our Facebook page at facebook.com/one mountain many paths to get inspired by the great clips and member activities posting there each week. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at One Mountain Many Paths and share our clips with your online communities and your family and friends. A lot of the main teachings in church are also in books by Dr. Marc Gafni and Barbara Marx Hubbard and others as well. For instance, A Return to Eros, the radical experience of being fully alive by Dr. Marc Gafni and by Dr. Christina Kincaid, and on Audible read by Gabrielle Anwar. A Return to Eros is a radically inspiring and important book that can help you recognize more deeply how love's energy literally drives all of reality. Right now, we are streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. Register for free to join on Zoom and sign up for our newsletter for exciting gifts. Copy either of the links from this Zoom chat box and share on your favorite social media channels. With that, I give you what to expect today. We begin with the first principles recap from last week. Afterwards, Dr. Mark sets our intention. Then David resonates the evolutionary love code that we are working with. We move into prayer, then evolutionary sermons with Dr. Mark, and often with a piece from Barbara Marx Hubbard. And then Krista invites us to step into leadership, commit our outrageous acts of love, and play our unique instrument in this unique self-symphony. At the end, we bring everyone on to see each other face to face, and then we close. Mark wrote what he called evolutionary love codes. Mark and Barbara studied the codes together, often comparing them with Barbara's own 52 codes for conscious self-evolution. These codes grew out of their radical commitment over 100 collective years of crystallizing the new story of humanity, quote, evolving the course of consciousness and culture, which is the source code of love, unquote. Each communion is a standalone, and every week's communion builds on the week before. One Mountain, Many Paths is radically committed to telling the new universe story. Now for our recap from last week's gathering. The alchemy of Homo Amor, transcending our personal past and becoming cause of reality. We talk about the revolution and we wonder how we can participate. The forces that generated reality generated a set of structures which are causing reality to self-terminate. We have a narrow, paltry, insufficient, distorted narrative of identity that comes from a paltry, insufficient, distorted universe story. Out of those broken narratives of who am I and where am I, we create risk to our very existence. We are at a time between worlds. We do have to be the new Renaissance. Our ecstasy, our presence has to be so powerful. It undoes the pseudo bonds, the pseudo intensities of the old dramas, the old addictions, the old traumas. This is weaving together the best validated insights of all the great wisdom traditions and embodying them. Creation's not a one-time event. We're not the passive recipients of a universal causation in which we have no effect. The new presencing of this moment, the new creation in this moment, we are cause and we are effect. We are not only acted upon. We are not only subjects buffeted around. We are not only objects buffeted around, sorry. We are subjects. We step into a new world where we are no longer Homo sapiens, where we are no longer separate, traumatized selves replaying the old stories of yesterday, where we are Homo Amor. We are revirginated, and when we are revirginated, we can be loved open by reality. Not only that, we can love reality open. We can allure reality. Our identity goes down to the very foundation of reality itself, beneath quantum mechanics. We can't speak of self without that. We understand quantum phenomenon are interacting to create the emergent property of classicality around the level of atoms that generate us. And that there's a profound atomic emergence all the way up and all the way down. None of us exists independently of all these top-down and bottom-up forces. We live in an intimate universe that's interconnected at every level, all the way up and all the way down. We share identity with that intimate universe, and that entire intimate universe lives in us, quite literally. That's the truth. We are a personal incarnation of the universe in person. Together, we step into Homo Amor, into unique self. We join hands. We circle the globe holding hands. We generate this next step of the self-organizing universe. We awaken in love, affecting that field, being cause in that field. God kissing God, God kissing goddesses, goddesses kissing goddesses, showing up as a unique expression of the intimate field yearning for, turning to the field itself and saying, hold me, help me, love me open. That's where we are, and it's the only choice we have. With that, I invite us to more deeply enter into the holy and sacred space of one mountain, many paths. And I turn my word to you, beloved Dr. Marc Gafni.
Thank you so much, Christina Tahel. Thank you. Right? Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is just a delight to be here. Right? Our hearts are on the one hand broken open with joy at the privilege and power and potency to be here together as revolutionaries, literally, not figuratively, literally revolutionaries, right? To actually step into the breach in this moment in time, in this Renaissance needing to happen moment, in this time between worlds, right? In this time between stories, in which we experience ourselves quite literally as poised between utopia and dystopia, with an unimaginably gorgeous possible future, more stunning, more sublime, more filled with joy and goodness than at any other time in history is literally possible. It's within our grasp. And an equally unimaginable dystopia yawns. The abyss is right beneath our feet. And if we follow the ordinary trajectory, the vector of all civilizations, we will fall into dystopia. We'll fall into existential risk. And in about 500 to 800 years, according to the best calculations, there's a very good chance we won't exist. We'll have entered into the sixth mass extinction. We will have extinguished the future. In order to take the other path, which today is quite literally the road less traveled, we have to rise up. We have to play a larger game. We have to actually participate directly in the evolution of love. We have to be ontological activists. That means we have to be directly involved in evolving the source code of consciousness and culture, which is the source code of love. And I gotta say, we've gotta stop business as usual. I mean, tragically today, even at the places that should be the flashpoints, that should be the nodes of the future activist engaged, they're all involved in business as usual, almost all. Lists, egos, right? All the usual conflicts, all the same old stuff, right? At the very leading edge, all the same old ego games are being played. And it's almost like we've commodified responding to existential risk or creating the news story, and now there's competition in the commodities. Really? Is that where we are? We actually have to be the news story. We can't be selling the news story as a product. We have to be radically committed. We got to place our lives and our hearts and our bodies on the line. We have to rip our hearts open truly, for real, and step out of the brokenness and step out of the trauma and to actually experience the intensities of outrageous love and what it does to us, and let it purify us and actually change the rules of the game, change where we invest our time, change where we invest our financial resources. Stop playing by the old rules. and start crossing over to the other side. That's what we're here to do. That's what One Mountain's about. We're about together being the future, actually reweaving the very source code itself and articulating the new story. And everybody's welcome and everyone's forgiven, right? Let's let it go. Let's come together and actually do something different. You know, all too often today, and I want to just say something just from my heart, a little bit sad. I sometimes look at the world that is ostensibly trying to deal with some of these issues. And when I see the underbelly of the world, and I see that, wow, just like the Catholic Church, you know, in the 15th, 14th, 16th, 17th, 18th century, was filled with corruption as it piously proclaimed redemption. So much, right, of the world that should be standing for tomorrow is commodifying itself, prostituting itself, selling itself out, and actually just playing the same old games in a new guise. Business as usual. But the product is, let's respond to existential risk. No. The way we're going to respond to existential risk is we're actually going to become the new human and the new humanity. We're actually going to be it. We're going to actually become the new narrative of identity. We're going to become the new narrative of power. We're going to become the new intimate communion. We're going to actually become Homo amor. Homo sapiens is going to actually evolve and appear as Homo amor. That's what we're here to do, right? I'm just going to go to the chat box for a second, okay? Right? Who can feel? Can you feel what I'm talking about? And I'm gonna just kind of find myself in the chat box, right? Can you feel this? Who can feel this? Who can feel that it's like, right? It's good. We gotta take this to the next level, right? Can you feel that? We can't do business as usual, right? So who's prepared to actually stop being business as usual? Who's prepared, right, to move beyond business as usual, to actually step up? Let's actually be it, right? Right? It's what he meant when he said we've got to be the change, right? We've got to be the revolution. We got to be the outrageous love. We got to lay it all on the line with so much joy and so much delight, right? So I want to ask you a question, okay? Right? Who are we? Who are we? We are the revolution. That's who we are. So I want to ask you, with your permission, and if you're going to write it, I'm going to write it. I'm going to write it with you. Who are we? We are the revolution, right? I am the revolution, wrote Jackie. She's absolutely, we start with I, and then we are the revolution. So who am I? I'm the revolution. Who are we? We're the revolution. That's who we are. And there's only one question we ask is, what does the revolution need in the next second? But this is not a casual revolution. This is not a kind of, let's just declare things. We're spending day and night in the source code trying to work out, right, the best, deepest interior vision of what a new world needs to look like. That's the Da Vinci move, to actually formulate this vision of unique self, right? Because every failing in the world is based on a failure of frameworks, a failure of source code story. Our universe story determines everything. Our universe story is, where are we? Our narrative of identity is, who am I? How I answer those two questions changes everything. And I would say every single book I'm reading now, right? And I'm reading kind of cross disciplines and platforms to try and integrate pieces of the new story. In every single book, what's missing is these source code moves, the source code structure, the actual depth of a new story. Someone sent me a new book a couple of weeks ago. It's down here someplace, right? It's called, here it is, right? It's called, here we go, The Global Revolt, right? And the last, and Bill Clinton wrote a nice little introduction to it. Another friend of mine, Daniel, wrote a little introduction. And so the last chapter, and I'm not recommending it, it's okay, not necessary reading, but he's getting the idea that there's a new story. So the last chapter is called A New Story, okay? Read through the entire last chapter. The entire last chapter is about different ideas, structures, and currency, governance, right? Economic issues, which are all interesting and important. But none of them have anything to do with what we're calling the new story, right? And as when you read Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations, which is, let's say, the economic story of modernity in the West, you got to realize that Adam Smith wrote another book. Adam Smith wrote a book about called Moral Sentiments. And it was about the nature of the human being, right, as a being who incarnates love. And Adam Smith was actually coming out of Islamic mysticism, deeply influenced by Islamic mysticism at its leading edge. And his notion of the wealth of nations and the invisible hand of the market was based on an entire series of ideas which were rooted in a particular universe story, right, and in a particular narrative of identity. Without that, you can't move. Okay? So if we don't articulate this new universe story, if we don't articulate the new narrative of identity, friends, we are in game over. Okay? Right? And we're not going to be in game over. We believe in the future. Right? We believe in the future radically and completely. So let's do this all the way. So if you're up for it, okay? If you're up for it, I want to raise, right, an issue with you. Okay? Everyone ready? We're ready to go? Okay? We're ready. Who's ready to go? We're going to do like a little talk now. Then we're going to do more, and we're going to resonate the code. We're going to pray, right? And we're going to do what we do. Okay? But I wanted to start with, it's Ramadan. It's Ramadan. Who knows that it's Ramadan? Adam Smith, right, in his Wealth of Nations, was profoundly influenced by Islamic mysticism. So let's honor Islamic mysticism. Let's honor Islam. All right? Let's honor Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. God is great. Right? Allahu Akbar. God is great. So I want to chant with you for a second. Allahu Akbar. Then I want to talk for a second, if you can, just a little bit about religion for a couple of minutes and why that matters. And why do we do, right? Why don't we just do the news story? Why don't we just do evolution? Why don't we just do science? Why does Ramadan matter? Right? Why does Allahu Akbar matter so much? Okay? And it's really important. So we really got to talk about that today in a big, deep way. But first, let's chant. We'll resonate the code, right? We'll do more, we'll pray, and then we're going to talk Allahu Akbar. But let's just start with a little chant, okay? Is that okay? Okay. So it goes like this. I'm going to make up a new chant today, okay? Allahu Akbar. Hey Allahu Akbar. You want to chant with me together? Allahu Akbar. Hey Allahu Akbar. Let's chant together around the world. Ramadan, the 9th month, the holy month. Allahu Akbar. Hey Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Hey Allahu Akbar. Together. Allahu Akbar. Hey Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Hey Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Hey Allahu Akbar. Let yourself feel it. Let yourself feel the intimate feeling of Allahu Akbar. Right, which is not the same as God is great. God is great is a translation, but you got to feel it. You got to feel the resonant beauty, right, and gorgeousness. Allahu Akbar. Hey Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Hey Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Right? God is great. Right, wow. Right? Like, wow. Okay, so what does that mean? That's what we're going to talk about today. And I want to ask you just to hold that. To hold that. We're resonate the code now. Okay? We're going to do more, right? And then we're going to pray, right, in a different way today. Okay? And just feel it, right? Allahu Akbar. And let's invite our Islamic brothers and sisters. And for me, that's not meta-theoretical, right? I lived in Israel, in Jaffa. I shared a house with an Arab family, right? In the midst of the mosques, Jews and Arabs living in Jaffa together at the time that I was there. Allahu Akbar, right? God is great. God is great. Wow. Okay. Ja. Allahu Akbar. And we're going to feel this today, and we're going to try and evolve the source code. So I want to ask you, as we step in now, hold Allahu Akbar with you, and we're going to come back to it. That's where we're starting. Okay, did anyone this morning, right, eat the suhoor? That's the early morning meal that we eat before dawn. Then we fast all day. Then in the evening, after breakfast, we do iftar, which is the great celebration. And why do we fast? Right? We fast because we step away, right, from the physical for a short period of time in order to disidentify with the body and realize that our true nature is heart. Our true nature is spirit. That we're embodied, but underneath the body, I'm not my body. Right? I am. And who am I? I am the expression of Allah's will. And Allah's will lives in me. And I bow to Allah in service to Allah. Wow. 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 We're going to have to understand what that means. Where's the light? Where are the potential shadows? How do we engage, right, a unique religion? And what's its place today? So deep. And this is one of the things that, for example, the integral community got completely wrong in kind of a bunch of really fundamental ways. And we need to kind of up-level the way we understand development, the way we understand religion in a kind of profound and big and beautiful way. Allahu Akbar, with Allah's will. We're going to do that today. But first, let's resonate the code. And you know what we're going to do, actually? David, are you with me, David? David, let's write a new code. Let's write a new code, okay? Let's write a new code. Let's write a new code right now, okay? Let's write a new code. Okay. Every religion has a unique self. New code right now. Every religion has a unique self. Okay? The unique self of a religion is the intimate quality of meeting between the infinite and the finite that is particular to that religion. That unique quality of intimacy is irreducible. And utterly needed in the great unique self symphony of spirit. I'm going to add one sentence, okay? I'm going to wait till David's caught up, and everyone help him out, okay? He's got a hard job, okay? Okay, David, you're a complete rock star, okay? I'm going to add one thing. This is a big deal. Okay, we're writing a code together, okay? Because Allah is moving in us, okay? Let's have Allah move in us together. Okay, let's write this code together. Okay, let's see if we can find this. The rituals of a religion, okay, this is a big deal. The rituals of a religion are not the surface structures of a religion. I'm going to explain that, right? The rituals of a religion are not the surface structures of a religion. The rituals of a religion are the unique, intimate expressions of that religion's erotic embrace of divinity. Right? The rituals of a religion are not the surface structures of a religion. The rituals of a religion are the unique, intimate embrace of that religion, right? The erotic embrace of the divine. Okay? Let's see if we can catch this for a second. Okay. David, you want to read that code for us? Give us the code.
I wanted to double check that if it was meaning or meeting. You said the unique self of religion is the intimate quality of meaning or meeting between the infinite and the finite.
Both perfect. Right? Both perfect. Use them both. Okay.
Both.
Erotic.
Okay.
Both. Okay, David, we just wrote a code. Read us a code, man. No time to prepare. Take it away. Read us the code.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Mark. Here we go, friends. Let's go into this code and feel the religion living within us here. Every religion has a unique self. The unique self of a religion is the intimate quality of meaning and meeting between the finite and the infinite that is particular to that religion. That unique quality of intimacy is irreducible and utterly needed in the great unique self symphony of spirit. The rituals of a religion are not the surface structures of a religion. The rituals of a religion are the unique, intimate expressions of that religion's erotic embrace of divinity. It's a beautiful code, Mark. Thank you.
Wow, right? David, beautiful resonance. Beautiful resonance, right? Are we in the code? So Shahati, you're going to do on more for us. We're going to meditate on that code. We're going to do on more. Then we're going to dive into that code, and then we're going to pray. Okay? Okay, so let's get Shahati Amor. Let's get Amor, because, right, its insides are lined with love, right? And Islam is at its core, right, is, oh my God, right, is this understanding of the deep love that suffuses reality. And one of the key teachings of Islam, right, in particular strains, and there's, of course, many versions of Islam, an enormous conflict within Islam, different conversation, but at its deepest understanding, Islam talks about what they call, right, constant creation, right? That is to say that there's not a one-time creative act, but there's an incessant, constant creation happening, which of course, right, is validated today in the evolutionary world by what Stuart Kaufman would call the incessant, ceaseless creativity of cosmos. But why did Islam, right, in the 11th, 12th century insist on constant creation? And actually, right, they treated with horror, aghast, as heretics anyone who said there was a one-time creation. Who cares? Isn't that like some detail of theological sophistry? So the reason they cared was because it's so deep and it's so real, because imagine if we created our relationship, I don't know, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, right? 30 years ago. We created our relationship, and now we're in the relationship. But the relationship was created 30 years ago. So the energy of creation was 30 years ago. The energy of intimacy, the intimate moments when we came together, when we fostered this new reality, when we generated, right, this gorgeous, right, explosion, right, of love, that was 30 years ago. And now we're in repeat mode. We're in Groundhog Day. We're doing it again and again. And so Islam said in its deepest mystical core, it said, no, actually, we actually have a direct realization that reality is actually generated anew in every second. And this was before we understood about the quantum vacuum or the 0-point field where virtual particles are popping in and out at every second, quite literally. And we can actually get an instantiation in the world of physics, right, of this intuition, right, of the esoteric core of Islam. Right? The world is being created anew in every second, meaning that raw intimacy of that first meeting between the infinite and the finite is literally happening right now. And if you open your heart, you can actually feel it. The first explosion, the first kiss, right? That first look, right? The first blush of love, right? The first creative, ecstatic emergence, right? For the very first time, right? Is happening anew in every second. Wow, right? Right? Oh my God. And the human being in that, is this unique node who is caused by everything that came before, by all the gorgeous unfolding of allured realities, atoms and molecules, but the human being is utterly unique, and the actual light of all of reality shines within the heart of the human being, right? I wish that I could tell you, writes the Islamic poet, I wish that I could tell you when you are lonely or in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being. I wish that I could tell you when you are lonely or in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being. Okay, so we're going to go deep into religion. We're going to finish with prayer today. But first, Amor, its insights are lined with love, because this is the revolution. We are the revolution. And part of the revolution is we can't ignore, right? 65% of the world lives in an organized religion. No, 70%. Let's ignore it. Let's hang out in Berkeley and, little Portland, some great communities near Glastonbury and in London, some hipster people. And we're going to get all these, we're going to do it. We're at the leading edge. The rest of those people, they're primitive. That's nonsense. It's nonsense. We have to bring the whole story together. Everyone has a place at the table. We can't do this without Ramadan. We can't do this without Allahu Akbar. And we can't do this without a deep formulation and understanding of what the offering is, the unique self of every religion. Okay, so Shahati takes into Amor, then we're going to go deep inside and we're going to make new revolution today. Shahati, Amor, take us inside. All right, yes, thank you. Amor. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Thank you, Shahati, so tender, so very beautiful. Allahu Akbar, 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 Allahu Akbar. Okay, let's go inside. Right, God is great with God's love. Okay, let's see if we can do this. Okay, now just notice when we're talking about, let's get the code in if we can. Anyone wants to put it in? Okay, let's notice when we're talking about science, we're talking about photosynthesis and chemosynthesis, we're talking about the new mimetic codes, we talk about everyone's good. And this week, right, we're doing good, but some of us are a little uncomfortable. What's this? What's religion here so centered, right? Why are we talking about Ramadan? And so let's go slow for a second. Let's see if we can go step by step. First, why does religion matter? And why does religion need to be part of the revolution? Okay? This is a very big deal. So we have three I's. One eye is the eye of the senses. Eye of the senses means the Hubble telescope, fMRIs, my eyes, my ears, right? Fragrance, touch, right? All the ways, the senses through which we access sensory reality. Okay, that's one way of knowing things. So an fMRI or a Hubble telescope is an expansion of the eye of the senses. Do we got that? Everyone got that? Good. Right, that's the eye of the senses. The second eye is what we might call the eye of the mind. And what's the eye of the mind? So the eye of the mind is mathematics, logic, reason, right? Moral reasoning, right? All of that, from Ramanujan's mathematics to Kant's moral reasoning and his prolegomena on morals, right? All of that is the eye of the mind. Unbelievably important, right? Those are the two eyes. But there's a third eye. And the Islamic mystics call the third eye the eye of the heart. And the great interior scientists in every one of the great traditions had a different name for it, right? The third eye, the eye of the spirit, the hidden eye. Now let's call it the eye of the heart. And the eye of the heart, now stay close, friends. The eye of the heart is what actually gives me literal information about the truth of reality that is not accessible in any other way. And actually, it gives me information about all the truths that make life worth living. Loyalty, love, joy, delight, eros, virtue, kindness, right? Creativity, right? In other words, every virtue without which we literally wouldn't want to be alive. We'd be automatons, right? In a vast data machine, which is where dimensions of society are trying to push us, in which we have to actually rebel against and actually articulate, right, a new vision of a techplex. But that's a different conversation, right? All of those values, right? The knowing that they're real, that love is real, that spirit is real, that we choose, that choice is real, that I have a living felt sense that choice and freedom are real, right? All of those experiences live in the eye of the heart. They live in our first person, and they're accessible through the faculty of perception, which is called the eye of the heart. Now, the eye of the heart allows me to know things that I can't know in any other way. Now, stay close. In the last 200 years, we have developed exponentially, virtually, the technologies of the eye of the senses. So, for example, the Hubble telescope, right? For example, right, advanced mathematics, right, done through supercomputers, which develop complexity theory and chaos theory, right? That's the eye of the mind. But what we've done is we've utterly abandoned the field in terms of the eye of the heart. The inner infinite subjectivity, the subjectivity of the infinite that lives in me, as me, and through me, the eye of the heart, right? My first person knowing and the inner subjective space, the second person knowing that lives between us, that's been left to pop psychology. That's been reduced to a kind of Freudian reductionism. We've actually denuded the human being of her grandeur and called it grandiosity. And we've stopped practicing in the eye of the heart. Wow. And that which was generated by the great traditions, we've lost access to, right? And we look at the great traditions and we say, wow, they were, religions were terrible in the pre-modern period. They were ethnocentric and they were homophobic and, right, those bad religions. Now, is that true? Do religions have enormous shadow? Were they ethnocentric and homophobic? Yes, of course they were, but so were governments. And so was all of reality, right? In other words, it wasn't a religion problem. It was a reality problem. It was a structure of consciousness problem, right? And governments and armies and farmers, right? And technicians, right? Or whatever the form of technician was, everybody was ethnocentric and homophobic. Reality was that was the structure of consciousness, and religion expressed that. Now, stay close, okay? Stay close. So the way modernity at its best looked at religion was to say, okay, we're not going to go with, let's say, David Hume and a whole school of thinkers that emerged out of David Hume that essentially rejected and mocked religion. We're not going to go with those people. That's a whole major school of modernity, which actually dominated modernity. But there were other people in modernity, like the perennial philosophers, who said, no, religions were important, but not the rituals, right? Not all of their, local cultural baggage. What the perennialists and a lot of integral thinkers call surface structures, that's not what matters in religion. What matters are the depth structures. And the depth structures are, right, the hidden traditions in every great tradition, which are about realizing that you're one with consciousness, realizing that you're awareness or awareness of awareness. Okay, now go slow with me, okay? I'm gonna say a couple of things, right? One, that's wrong. It's one of the great flaws, right, in that kind of thinking. You see, the rituals of a religion are not just surface structures. The rituals of a religion are the unique self of that religion. And the unique self of that religion is the unique quality of intimacy, the unique quality of meeting between the infinite and the finite that is incarnate in that erotic embrace of the divine, which expresses itself in those intimate caresses and whispers that we call ritual and we call text, right? In the folds of language, right? In the ravishment and rapture of ritual, right? In the gorgeous, right, consciousness in ceremony. And its uniquely intimate quality, which is in some sense culturally untranslatable, right? You can't translate it into universal principles because it's not about universal principles. Yes, there are underlying principles of religions that are universal, that are shared by the religions, and that's important. But that's not what a religion is. That's one dimension of a religion. A religion actually is a unique, intimate, erotic embrace of the divine, right? Who can feel that? Who can feel that? And we can't actually have a conversation with the religions as long as we're looking at them as they're the benighted natives, right? And we are, who are we? Who are we? We're the perennialists, we're the integralists, right? We're the sophisticated postmodernists, right? No. Well, yes, yes, and no. No, we actually have to be able to enter into, right, the intimate space, right, of a unique religion, right, and actually honor that space. And if we can really open ourselves up for the first time in history, we can actually receive or taste something, the fragrance of their intimacy. So do we reject the dimensions of any religion that are ethnocentric? Of course we do. Categorically. Because we basically understand that the word of God, as it appeared in that religion, was refracted through an ethnocentric prism of consciousness. That's a big deal. So I have a deep experience of God, but then that experience of God is refracted through a prism. And that prism is my psychological maturity. And that prism is my structure of consciousness. Stay close. Everyone close? Okay, are we together? Tell me, I'm going to look in the chat box. Are we together here? Who's with us? Who's with us? We're deep in. This is subtle. This is subtle. It's a big deal. So let's give you an example. I'll give you an example. There's a great master named Isaiah in the Hebrew tradition, and another is named Ezekiel in the Hebrew tradition. Both Isaiah and Ezekiel do practices, and they see what's called the Merkavat Adonai, the chariot of God. But they describe the chariot differently. They both are great masters of mysticism, but they describe the chariot differently. Okay, you with me? So then the masters in the 3rd century, the Aramaic masters, they say, what does that mean? Ezekiel and Isaiah, they're both these great masters, these prophetic masters, and they're seeing the chariot of the divine, but they're describing it in substantively different ways. How could that be? So the Aramaic masters, they say, haben kfar, haben krach. This one was a farm boy and this one was a city boy. What does that mean? That means that the master who was a city boy sees the divine chariot, but sees it through his cultural prism, which is he's a city boy. And the farm boy prophet sees it through his farm boy vision. So they both see the chariot differently. They're both seeing the chariot, but actually their prism, their interior prism shows them something different. The same thing's true about my structure stage of moral consciousness. If my structural stage of moral consciousness is ethnocentric, that the border of my love, care, and concern is for me and my people, then I'll have an Islamic idea called Dar el Harb and Dar el Islam, the nation of Islam and the nation of the sword, and the two are pitted against each other. Or I'll have a Christian idea, Augustine, there's only redemption inside of the church. Or I'll have certain strains in Judaism, right, that talk about, right, a chosen people in which a convert can never become as full as a Jew, right? You'll have those strains because the word of the divine is refracted through an ethnocentric structure stage of consciousness. Okay, we got that. So we need to liberate the experience of revelation. Now stay close, friends, stay really close. You can't talk about reality without talking about revelation. We have this narcissistic idea that we are the only actors in the universe. The human being acts, the human being initiates, the human being invokes, which is true. We do initiate, we do invoke, but actually there's a two-sided conversation in reality, right? Reality is a history of revelations. And if you read the history of planet Earth, it's a history of divine revelations. And they're not mythic, they're not made up, right? They're the actual lived experience of the deepest, most subtle and speculative minds, right? Across every period of history, across every cultural space, across every geographical space, there's a cascading series of revelations, right? That's a big deal. So prophecy or revelation is when the divine initiates and the divine invokes. But then in the marriage, in the Eros Gamos, in the meeting between the human being and the divine, where we mutually co-participate in each other, we have to listen, we have to hear, we have to receive the revelation, and the revelation is received through our structure stage of consciousness. That's a big deal. Okay, so let's go slow, let's go deeper, right? It's one mountain, many paths. Does everyone get it? It's one mountain, many paths. One mountain means at the center, at the core, there's the one, right? There's the one love, and there's the one heart, and there's the one unified field of meaning, and there's the universals, right, that bind us all, the narratives of identity, the universe stories. Number one. Number two, there are intimate cascading waves of relationship, right, that emerge out of infinity, that personally address reality. Revelation's real. Revelation's not made up. Yet, number three, revelation is interpreted through your particular structure stage of consciousness, right? So I need to actually receive the revelation, but then I've got to evolve the way I hear it. I've got to listen, right? My listening co-creates the revelation. And if my listening is from an ethnocentric stage of consciousness, then I'm going to hear and interpret. There's going to be a hermeneutic and interpretation to the word of the divine that experiences it as Dar el Harb and Dar el Islam, right? The nation of Islam and the nation of the sword. But if I actually evolve my consciousness, if I evolve my godness, then I'm going to hear that revelation much more clearly. And I'm actually going to feel and realize, right, that actually I am Islam, or I am Judaism, or I am Christianity, or I am Taoism, or I am Buddhism, right? And I have an intimate language. And that language can't be reduced to surface structures. And I have an intimate ritual, and I have an intimate erotic dance with the divine, and I'm loyal to that intimacy. I'm monogamous with that intimacy even, right? This is my intimacy. I'm monogamous with that intimacy, but God is polyamorous. I mean, God's doing it with the Jews. God's doing it with the Christians. God's doing it with a lot of different kinds of Christians and a lot of different kinds of Jews. And God's doing it with the Ashariya in Islam, with the Mu'tazila Yeah, God's doing it with the Sufis, and God's doing it with all the different sects of Buddhism and all the different sects of Hinduism, right? So God's doing it all over the place. God's polyamorous. God's madly loving, right? Cascading streams of intimate infinity, incarnating, right, in different structures and modes and time. Wow, right? And so, wow, Allahu Akbar, right? Allahu Akbar, of course, we're in Ramadan. Right, this unique and gorgeous and stunning and beautiful frame of revelation, right, which is Islam, right, which is, wow, we bow. That's what Islam's about. It's hakhna'ah. Islam is the bow, the utter submission. And we've got to actually be able to integrate these intimacies in a new unique self-symphony. And the unique self-symphony is not a kind of benign imperialist reduction of the religions to their universals. That's the major developmental integral mistake. No, the rituals of the religion are not, as the perennialists said, their surface structures. No, the rituals of the religion are their intimate, right, culturally untranslatable, right, ecstatically urgent embraces and incarnations, right, of the erotic dance with the divine. Wow. Right, can you feel that? Allahu Akbar. Right? Allahu Akbar. Right? Allahu Akbar. Right? Allahu Akbar. And you can feel it. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, together around the world. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. So now, we're not going to do this week. Next week, we're going to be back. Leonard was away this week, Leonard Cohen. Right? He's in Ramadan. He's fasting, so he couldn't quite make it. Okay? So let's go close, deep in here, okay? We're going to pray, though. We're going to do our prayer like we do every week, but we're going to try and do something new. And we have this very strange idea, right, in modern identity politics, that if we take something from a different religion, we're somehow appropriating it. It has a particular name. Right? We're somehow doing some sort of cultural, right, appropriation. Shahati, stay with us all the way. We're together, okay? We're situated in Europe. We're situated around the world together right now. Okay, let's stay total in together, okay? We've got this notion in identity politics, right, that somehow, right, if we take something, we're stealing something from another tradition. Of course, that's not true, right? The greatest, most beautiful, most wondrous, right, developments of every tradition were when other people received the tradition and developed something in it and honored something in it, right? And so when we can turn to Allah, right? We can turn to Allah, right? And my gentle, humble suggestion to everyone is, if you can, find a great tradition to practice in and participate in the evolution of that great tradition. And at the same time, be a dual citizen, right, of homo amor, of cosmoerotic humanism, of world spirituality, of this great, right, new story that we're telling. We need both. We need a new story. And we need a new story with new languages and, right, and new rituals, right, and new practices, right, and new world spirituality, right, the underlying vision of the new human and the new humanity, what we call homo amor, rooted in this vision of the amorous cosmos, right, with an enormous set of distinctions. So we're actually, in some sense, we're creating a new universal great tradition, and not one that obliterates, right, or upends or undoes the great traditions as they are. The great traditions as they are live together. Now, they've got to be updated and evolved. So just like government evolved from the 14th century in much of the world, so religion has to evolve, but within its own internal core, not by becoming kind of a a liberal Protestant, liberal Jewish, liberal Islamic, right? No rituals. It all kind of looks the same. No one really believes it anymore. No. To stay passionately committed to the unique self and the unique structure and the unique intimacy, right, of every great tradition, and to evolve the tradition from within its own sources. In other words, each tradition has to go to its own esoteric depth, to its own ethical depth, and within the framework and mechanisms of structures of that great tradition, it evolves. Eternity evolves, always, right? The eternal Tao is the evolving Tao. And of course it does. And that's the responsibility that each great religion has, is to participate in its own evolution of consciousness, but not by becoming a vapid, secularized, tepid version of itself, but by staying. Catholicism should stay in all of its ritual power, right? And here's the last piece. Okay? And we have to have a world conference of religions in which each one does two things, in which each religion shares its unique instrument, its unique intimate instrument in the unique self symphony, number one. And each religion takes responsibility for the dimensions of the tradition that are actually not evolved. Each tradition takes responsibility for the voices in that tradition that are still ethnocentric and still homophobic. Each religion brings the texts that it's madly proud of and the texts that it's ashamed of, the texts that it has to leave behind. Right? Each religion takes responsibility for its own evolution of consciousness, but not by someone imposing it upon the religion, but by actually the deepest thinkers, figures, prophets, mystics, practitioners within that intimate tradition, evolving it from within. Can you feel that? Wow. Right? Allahu Akbar. So I can't take responsibility for the internal evolution of Islam. It's not my job. Can't do it. That'd be offensive. But what I can do is, what we can do is since I assume that most of us, right, in this broadcast are not Islamic, or at least not Islamic born, right, I can honor Islam. I can bow with reverence, right? I can use the language, I can access something of the fragrance of the revelation of Allahu Akbar and begin to invite Islam into the unique self symphony. And I can let go of the kind of colonialist dominance which demands, right, the reduction of Islam to abstract universals. No, we're going to create this incredible, unbelievable new world universal great tradition. And part of that great tradition, the great Homo Amor tradition, is going to be I'm going to be a dual citizen. I can be fully Allahu Akbar and fully Homo Amor. And I can be fully Adonaihu Elohim and fully Allahu Akbar. And I can be fully Atman as Brahman and fully Homo Amor. Right? And I can be fully, right, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, right, and Homo Amor. Right? Because actually, the leading edge prophets of each religion at their core are early adopters of Homo Amor. Wow. So who's up for it? Okay, we're going to finish today with prayer and in our last chant. And let's just we'll go to the chat box, and then we're going to go to Krista, right? Christina, who are going to invite us inside. But first, let's go to the chat box and let's pray. Okay, we're going to pray. And I'm going to ask if we can, with permission, right? And just say, right, start with Allah. Right, I turn to Allah, and then ask. Allah, or Allahu Akbar, and then ask for everything. So who's going to start? To write Allahu Akbar, and I'll read as we go. Anyone who wants to start. Okay? Step inside, everyone, all the way inside. Shat, you with me? David, you with me? Right, here we go. David, right, Allah, I want to be closer to you, right, and feel your love. Right, Shat, Allah, I want to be the best version of myself. Mashar, Allah is great. Claire, Allahu Akbar. Joyce, I pray for openness to your great love and union, right, with all life. Allah, I pray, Terry says, that we be loved together, right? Shanti, right, like, and just to feel it, right? Shanti, Allahu Akbar. I pray for all religions to love each other outrageously. Paul, Allah, right? Timothy, Paul, Ari, right? Allah, right? I want to be your love to all people. Ugis, Allah, I find my ultimate holy service for the sake of the universal. Krista Josepha, Allah, I ask to help me remember you over and over again. I yearn to be in love with you always. Inaka, Allah, I pray for connection between religions and all people. Sally, Allah, may we all see your greatness in the trees and in all creations. G, Allahu Akbar. I pray for love and peace in and out. Peter, Allah, I pray for the fullness of tradition and outrageous love. Vashti, Allahu Akbar. I pray for pain free from healing. Right, for Faz and George, Claire, I pray for the greatness of God to fill all worlds for eternity. Jacqueline, Allahu Akbar, open the eye of my heart. Jackie, Allahu Akbar, I pray for my friend's family after he made his transition, died last night. They learn from his skills and happiness. Taheli, Allahu Akbar, I pray for the universe story to enliven all hearts. Carl, Allah be one with each of us in our unique being. Simona, right? Allah, I pray for Rashid and Mark to recover from COVID. Yes, Benjamin, Allah, please open my heart to receive your gorgeous majesty and honor you in every space. Jill, right? Jill, right? Allah, we pray to break our hearts open intimately and infinitely. Jamie, Allahu Akbar, I pray for the evolution of humanity and devotion to the future. Oriana, Allah, I pray to open one heart in one moment in love. Oriana, it's so good, right? Diana, Allah, I pray to open our hearts big enough. Told all religion, all creation. Mosa, I pray this vision comes true. Michael, welcome, Michael. Allahu Akbar. I want to live fully and express my highest potential in blossoming, right? A path, right? Oh my God, right? The holy path, right? Oh my God, all panelists and attendees, I pray to lose all indifference and see with a whole heart. Linda, Roseanne, I pray for this amazing idea that we can be dual citizens. Dual citizens. Right? I shared this idea with Ken, my friend Ken, a decade ago. Dual citizens. We have to be dual citizens, right? Jason, Allah, I pray for the union of divinity and humanity. Oots, I pray for your help. The Hindus out with oxygen. Raquel, Allah, I pray for critical voices in the current situation with COVID to be part of the discussion, right? Beyond censorship. Gabi, Allah, I promise you to evolve the best and deepest. Allah, Joycey, right? I pray for all of us to love outrageously. Okay, so we're gonna welcome Christina and Krista are gonna give us the last, right? Tell us how to take the actual next steps. But let's do this one time together, okay? I'm gonna ask everyone, if we can, right, to like really chant together from wherever we are in the world. Okay. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Oh my God, we've got to bring the religions to the table in order to evolve the source code. And we do that by moving beyond the thought that, wow, rituals, depth structures, now that's the intimate, erotic embrace of the divine, before which we bow. That's the beginning. Krista, take us inside. Krista Josepha, thank you so much. Oh my God. Cha.
Thank you so much, Mark, and thank all of you for your courage to pray like this. I can feel how powerful it is if we actually use all the names and pray to every unique expression of this divine embrace. So thank you so much. That was so beautiful. Now, let's take the next step together. Imagine if we can actually do this together, live, face to face, for 7 days, build and build and build this energy together. It's already so powerful to come together online every Sunday. But imagine what we can do as revolutionaries if we place our attention on the evolution of love for 7 whole days. And this is what we do every year at the Outrageous Love Festival. And we have some exciting news. I actually just heard today from Shahad that the Belgian government is opening up again from lockdown, and they are going to allow people to meet up to 200 people starting in June. So we are so excited and thrilled to have the possibility of the festival open up even more and get to meet and be together there. So the festival happens in Belgium at a beautiful castle, but you can also participate online because we will also live stream it. And to get into the mood of this festival, we have actually a beautiful event for you on May 2nd, where we gather together to be in outrageous love together. And I just want to share a beautiful video that Claire Molinar created. Claire Molinar and Shahad Korten, together with Marc Gafni, of course, are the holders, the space holders, the creators of this awesome festival. So here is Claire for you.
Hello, I'm Claire Molinar, and together with Shahad Korten, I hold the Outrageous Love Festival space in Europe. I am delighted to invite you to a second evening of storytelling with Dr. Marc Gafni. So if you were with us last February for Valentine's Night, you've already had a taste of what it's like to be around a virtual fire with a Hasidic master, and to get a direct transmission of outrageous love through stories. Marc has an amazing capacity to tell stories and to transmit the wisdom and the beauty of his tradition through this particular media. So you're very warmly invited to join us on May 2nd at 8 p.m., right after our weekly One Mountain broadcast, to join us around the virtual fire and come and enjoy a few more stories with us. 3 weeks later, on May 23rd, Shahad Korten and myself will be offering a mini workshop at the same time, 8 p.m. Central European time, and we will give you a taste of our beautiful, outrageous love space at the festival. It will be a virtual workshop. You're all invited, whether you're new here or you've been with us for many years. We are so delighted to offer this 2 space times with you, May 2nd, May 23rd, and I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, beautiful Claire. What a wonderful message. So if you want to join, and of course you do, just go to outrageouslovefestival.org/story-time. We will post the link also in the chat box and on Facebook, and you can register for free right here. Now, as all of you probably know by now, all of the festivals, this is the 9th Outrageous Love Festival, and all of them are recorded. And as a member of One Mountain, Many Paths, you actually get access to these recorded festivals, which have become 9 beautiful in-depth courses with hours and hours of teachings and transmissions and exercises and practices that you can do together. So each and every course, the normal value is $297, but you actually get access to all 9 courses if you participate and become a member of One Mountain. And you also can join our online community and our weekly writing group and our study group and many, many, many places where we meet each other and practice and become Homo Amor together. And as a member, you can choose your own contribution. And we actually encourage everyone who comes here every Sunday, of course, to give back, to resource our home. And we also want to ask you to give as much as you can. Christina shared a few weeks ago, she's giving $100 a month. And if you can, please do so, because that also enables other people to participate who cannot afford to give that much money. So here you can see you can start already from $25 a month, but it goes up as high as you like. So please give abundantly to this awesome revolution. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Now let's come together and put ourselves on gallery view so we can see this beautiful, unique self symphony. And I want to end us again with this awesome, beautiful chant that Marc has been chanting for us today, where we get to celebrate the beautiful expression of the Islam and of Ramadan. So let's sing together.